We Talk, our Make We Talk Tuesdays, our 1 hour talk show with Jeffrey Tavares.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning. Are you hearing me? Good morning. Welcome to Make We Talk here on Roots 96.1 FM, where we're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean this Tuesday morning. We're going to have with us this morning, I haven't seen him on us yet, former Jamaican ambassador Curtis Ward, former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan. We're going to speak about Jamaica, with Ambassador Ward, we're going to speak about Jamaica going republic. With Mr. Rattigan, we're going to speak about allegations of a police officer in criminal gangs. So hopefully we have the goodly gentlemen on in just a moment. I'm just hoping that they do come on. They promised me faithful that they will be coming on. There are so many things happening. I see we're in the the Queen, well, the Prince and his wife was in Jamaica, and they met with a lot of demonstration. The government of Jamaica calling for an apology from the Queen of England. Well, I believe that, is my belief, that the, one moment please.
That one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed.
I do apologize about that. I do apologize about Miss Isis. Is the guest calling me? We do apologize for that a while ago. Yes, I see we're in they're calling for an apology for from the Queen for slavery. But in my honest opinion, the Queen need to apologize to Jamaica, yes. But in my honest opinion, the two political parties, now the government of Jamaica, has no moral authority to be calling for an apology because they have done some atrocities on the Jamaican people. You see? They have done so many things to the Jamaican people. It's unbelievable. And some advertists have been calling for apology. Also, we need to figure out something here in this country. We're calling for people to apologize for slavery in Jamaica. And don't get me wrong, you know. The British, they need to apologize to the citizens of this country. Do not get Jeffrey Tavares wrong. But the powers may be in Jamaica need to apologize to the people of this country for what they have done to us. The Tivoli Garden killing, the Coral Gardens massacre, the burning down of the Eventide home. And I would advise the opposition leader to apologize to the people of Jamaica. In the 1990s, when they dumped the street people in the mud lake in St. Elizabeth. I'm calling for apology. They need to apologize indeed. But until we clean up our backyard, until we in this country clean our backyard up, We have no moral authority to be calling anybody to apologize to us. We have no moral authority to do so. None whatsoever. Now I will say to the people of this country, do some research. Do some research. I see where former Jamaican ambassador to Great Britain, Aluma Samba, I was doing some research where she was given a speech in 2015. In 2015, speaking about reparation in Great Britain when she was the ambassador there. But you know something? If we, the people of Great Britain, she went on to say that they need to do some education in Great Britain pertaining to the slave trade in Jamaica. And I agree with her because the people of Great Britain is saying that we don't need no reparation. And how dare us to be asking for reparation? How dare us to be asking anybody for reparation? That's what they're saying. There's also a human rights group. There's also a human rights group in America calling for the American government to pay the people of America reparation in the sum of 14 trillion US dollars. Now, my take on the whole reparation thing, if Britain decide to pay Jamaica, which at the time I don't think we're going to get a red cent. But if Britain decide to pay Jamaica, I wouldn't advise the powers may be in Britain to give any politician any money in Jamaica. Find how much money we owe to the International Monetary Fund, to the World Bank, to the Development Bank, and who we owe within Jamaica. Do not give any money to any government in Jamaica, whether they PNP or the JLP or no P. Find out how much money we owe in Jamaica and pay off Jamaica's debt if you're going to give us any money for reparation. Because if we believe that when the money come to Jamaica, I heard senior journalist Dudley Thompson asking if the money come to Jamaica, how should it be paid to the people of Jamaica? Well, my take on all of it, is that we must pay off our national debt. But the politicians in Jamaica, the money that take from the coffers of Jamaica, pay back the money. And also, you're calling for apology. The two political parties in Jamaica need to apologize to the people of Jamaica. Apologize to the people of our country. I am not saying that we don't need apology from England, but clean up our yard first. Before I go in anything else and get myself in trouble, I see wherein I have a former FBI agent on the line with me, Wilfred Rattigan. Wilfred Rattigan is an attorney at law, a former high-ranking FBI official with substantial experience in the areas of government investigation of national security and international law. Welcome, Mr. Rattigan, to Make We Talk. Unmute your mic, sir.
Yes, Mr. Brethren, how everything?
I am good, sir. I haven't heard a word from Ambassador. It seems like he's very busy at the moment again. I am not hearing you. Not hearing you at all. I don't know what's going on with his mic. We're speaking to former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan, a Jamaican citizen who is a former FBI agent in the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States. You know, he applied for the job as Commissioner of Police, and for some reason, they don't want anybody who to really fight crime in Jamaica, you know. So they didn't give him the job. They give the yes man and the yes woman the job. Because when it comes on to corruption in Jamaica, it's only a 9-day talk, or when they want to get into power, they talk all sort of nonsense. Mr. Rattigan, I am not hearing you at all. I was hearing you earlier on and just chip out. My Lord, what is going on here? It seems like they don't want you to come on to speak about so you must check your mic setting, Mr. Rattigan. My producer is saying you must check your mic setting. It seems like they don't want you to come on, you know, because you're coming in and out now. What's going on? Oh, Lord have mercy. We are trying to get the technical part of this sort out. Or maybe I have to not call you, you know. I may have to call you. So because I'm not getting you on Zoom at all. I'm not hearing you. I've seen you, but I'm not hearing you. So let me figure out something here. We are here trying to get a hold of Mr. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
That one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners.
You can't hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Sit down together at the table of
know what's
brothers.
going on here. I can see you, I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
One day,
No, not at all.
even the
Yeah,
slaves
them progress I saw that program.
Yes, just hold a minute now. Hold on here.
of injustice.
Welcome back to Make We Talk. I have with me Wilfred Rattigan. Mr. Rattigan, good morning again, sir.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you using the phone. Yeah.
Okay, good. Welcome to Make We Talk. I sent you a clip yesterday pertaining to a police officer who was implicated in allegedly, they say he's in a criminal gang. And apparently some investigation was done. And because the witness didn't come forward for some identification parade because they're overseas. Now tell me something now, sir. You being a former member of the FBI, even if the person is overseas, can't they have some Zoom thing for the person to identify the person, sir?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, my brother. And the program name Make We Talk. So
Yes, make we chat, sir. Mm-hmm.
With that. Now, it's kind of strange that you would have a witness overseas and some of the witnesses unavailable, whereas at some point the witness was available to the JCF. As I said before, with modern day technology, that you can make people easily accessible. The distance is not a problem.
Right.
Technology would be the problem. But even let's go back. If at some point the police had these two people as witnesses, now what we would have done in the FBI is we would have interviewed that person so that at some point in the future, if the person is unavailable, we at least have a statement, right?
Yes.
And the other thing too is that we protect people and we protect information. So if somebody is fearful of their life, there are ways that you can actually protect that person and protect the information provided by that person. You could even have the person testify at trial behind a screen or something to that effect, so that only the jury would be able to see the person, but other people wouldn't be able to see the person. There are many ways you could have gotten around this. And the fact that they allow I don't know if the person was a witness in Jamaica and the person left, or the person was always here in America and call them and say, hey, I'm a witness to all of this and that. But this is typical of what I see in a lot of countries in the Caribbean and in some places in Africa, where witnesses become unavailable and therefore you have to throw out the case. But this in this day and age, that's not a position that should be that should be accepted. We just can't accept this type of stuff, especially when it comes to police investigation.
Yes. And the funniest thing, the police officer is the son of a high-ranking official, a high-ranking member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, go ahead.
No, you see, I read the story, and that's problematic on several fronts because, this now bears credence when people say that the police are thief. And it's sad and unfortunate that the entire force of 10,000 plus people get tainted because of a few bad apples. But that's just the way it is. And this is not going in the right direction. This is not going to help the police, not going to help people have confidence in the police to serve, protect, and reassure. When you have criminals or alleged criminals within the force. And the fact that this person is also affiliated with a high-ranking member, the way we would have done this, the investigation would have been done secretly. And the evidence, once you come out public, the evidence, everything would have been lined up. And you would have also investigated the relationship between the father and son, and also the relationship between the father and criminal activity and the gangs, whether or not he's in league with the son and others. All of this would be fully investigated before you come out and make a statement. See, the other thing about it is that the JCF, they brag and show off about things that they shouldn't brag and show off about. They brag and show off about, for example, doing what they're charged to do, like finding guns. They find some guns and they come out and they do a big splash. And while they're showing 20 guns, you have 120 coming in behind that they're not catching, right?
Yes.
And people say, yeah. It just shows you that if you can be charitable about somebody doing what you're paying them to do, then what that tells you is that they weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And so now any achievement whatsoever, any gains is celebrated. And I'm saying, no, don't celebrate that. You tell them, job well done, but you're paying them and you move on. But the idea that you can have a police official, you can have a police official two JCF officials implicated. I mean, the father at some point is going to be implicated simply because of the relationship with his son, and who knows what else. I'll be honest with you. I've seen how they conduct investigations in Jamaica, and you have some very good investigators in Jamaica, but they're working within a system that doesn't allow them to conduct the type of intelligence-led investigation that is required at this point in time. They're still reactive. Something has to happen, and then the police show up. And meanwhile, the world has moved on to proactive policing and predictive policing. Jamaica is still back in the 1870s. Go back to the Morant Bay Rebellion and the aftermath, and that's where Jamaica investigation profile is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they'll tell you that we have this and we have that and we have that. Let them tell you that, but also ask them about the results.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them, say, oh, you have that and you have this and you have that. Now, tell me, why is it that in Jamaica, when a murder is committed, and the perpetrator stands a 90% chance or greater of being exonerated or being found not guilty? Tell me about that. You think about it. If you kill somebody in Jamaica, you have a 9 out of 10 chance of being caught, of being arrested, prosecuted, and sent to prison. So how do you?
And that is a question that Jamaicans are being asked. You know, we ask these questions to the powers may be. How is it that all sort of criminalism go on in this country? All sort of nonsense goes on in this country. You see?
Yeah.
And not one single member, neither of the hierarchy of the government or of the JCF or the JDF go to jail. But yet the common dirty foot chose his man them from below crossroad can go to jail.
Yeah, well, let me just interrupt you for a second. The person is signing on, that's my brother-in-law. He's signing in on from South Africa.
No problem. You can come in on the conversation too.
Yeah, but you're right. Case in point, look at the strategies they had in place for COVID, right? The protocols. And then you see the people from below Alpha Tree, they're getting arrested, they're paying fines, they're going to prison. And then you have politicians who are reveling, you know, they're having parties, and yet still nothing will happen. They suspend one guy, the other people, they haven't suspended them, and so on and so forth. And you say, where is this justice? You know, the justice is just.
And yet the Prime Minister of Jamaica came into Parliament and insult the integrity of the poor, pauperizing Jamaicans by saying to them that the ministers that was at some gathering with a very well-known entertainer, who when she dressed, she looked so voluptuous, you know. They didn't have on any mask or anything. And he's gonna turn to Minister Babsy Grange and say to her that she must collect $100,000 from all those members of Parliament, all those ministers who was at the gathering without any mask on. Is it a double-sided in this country?
Well, you know, I couldn't agree with you more. You're absolutely correct. And I hope that people are actually listening to you and decide to really call the politicians to the fore to say, hey, listen, explain all of this stuff. Let me just put a plug in. We have something down in Waterhouse called a program called Waterhouse Vibes.
Yes, you were telling me about it.
Yeah, we have the minister now, and I'm hoping that this will take hold and will be transplanted across the country, where you hold your local politician, you hold them, their feet to the fire, so that they can explain to you what they're doing. They can account you, because at the end of the day, the power is with the people. But somehow we have given that power to the politicians, and they take it for granted. They come around, you know, during the election cycle, and they do whatever they do, and then after that they're missing in action. And who suffer? The same poor pauperized people that you talk about. But let me just talk to you about just one quick thing it's been troubling to me ever since I heard it, and I've tried to follow up with it, and I'm getting nowhere. If you remember, well, I don't know if you recall that the JCF, they have a detailee to Southcom, and Southcom is the Southern Command. It's a military operation, right? We have somebody there, and they actually have satellite coverage over the satellite coverage, as well as maritime coverage over the Caribbean and Central and South America, right?
Mhm.
Now, I think it was last year. I may be wrong, maybe a year before. But a plane violated Jamaican airspace, right? Now remember, you have Southcom, you have
NORAD?
commercial, you have commercial coverage
Right.
of Jamaican airspace. You may have even JDF military coverage
Yes,
of
you
Jamaican
do.
airspace. But a plane violated Jamaican airspace, crashed, and the plane and crashed, and nobody knew anything about the contents of the plane. Nobody knew about the passengers, the pilots of the plane. The only thing we heard was when the Minister of National Security said that the occupants of the plane have left the island. Right? So and then they want to tell me that they can protect their borders. I mean, and by their own admission, they claim that they have more than 100 illegal entry points into Jamaica.
Wow.
Right? More than 100. And they also said that they, based on their stats, there are approximately 2,400 illegal guns coming into Jamaica a year, 200 a month. So when you see them catch...
Hold a while for me, Mr. Rattigan. Mr. Rattigan, remember what you're going to say. We're going to take a quick commercial break here and make we talk. We're speaking to former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan, a Jamaican, giving us some input on what is to be done in this country. We'll be right back here and make we talk.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, I'm Marcia.
I'm Adrian.
Join us this and every Wednesday morning for Extraordinary Abilities on Roots 96.1 FM. Join us for news, views, and interviews with extraordinary people. Extraordinary Abilities every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your extraordinary radio station, Roots 96.1 FM. It's gonna be fun, informative, and educational, but most of all, it will be extraordinary. Extraordinary.
Get the real inner city community news and be informed. You can do all that and more on City Beat, Monday to Friday at 12:45 p.m. on Roots 96.1 FM. City Beat puts you in the know and keeps you rocking in the world of knowledge. So let City Beat catch you on Roots 96.1 FM, Monday to Friday at 12:45 for City Beat. City Beat is the pulse of the city, so don't miss it. Monday to Friday at 12:45 p.m. on Roots 96.1 FM.
I'm here to say, yo, pure talent show every Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. I don't know, so you need to tune in on Roots FM, hosted by Digital Kim. She are the baddest. And this show, Talent Spotlight, for the new upcoming artists. So people listen up. Sponsored by Coconut Juice, Production, and Possible Pieces. Also, business advertisement and more. Tune in, Pure Talent Show. No joke. You don't know Sardino J. Rep. Oh, Digital Kim, the baddest. Pure Talent Show, mad.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created.
Welcome back to Make We Talk here on Roots 96.1 FM. I just saw somebody signing in. Our good friend, Ambassador Curtis Ward. Ambassador Ward, welcome to Make We Talk, sir. Unmute your mic, Ambassador. And until we get Ambassador to mute his mic, I'm going to welcome back former FBI agent, Mr. Rattigan. You were making a point before we make the commercial break, sir. Can you continue your point, sir?
Yeah, the point is that the law enforcement system in Jamaica, particularly the JCF. You need to, and I'm not the first person, and I'm not the only person. I won't be the last person calling for a complete restructuring of the system, because you're using an 1870s construct to deal with crimes being committed in 2022. And needless to state, the criminals and the types of crime being committed, they're far different from those that were committed centuries ago. Granted, you still have murders being committed, but if you look at how you investigate those crimes, it's different, far different. And we should no longer be in a reactive mode. I mean, we should be at least proactive. But we're not there. And I don't see how we're going to get there, because we don't have any leadership. It starts with leadership. And if you don't have the leadership, then you can forget it. Because if you don't have the leadership, people don't have a belief in what you're doing, your vision. And if the people who serve below you don't have that vision, they don't share that with you, then how can you expect them to go out and do what they're required to do if you don't give them a mandate, if you don't give them a structure? Not only that, I just saw a report that said that the police commissioner displayed woefully inadequate management of public funds when he was with the JCF. It had to do with purchasing a vehicle.
Yes, I heard about that. I heard about it.
And then you have this man in charge. I mean, think about the morale of people. He's
the friend of the Honorable Pro God, you know.
Well, look, remember he left the military to become the first official national security advisor to the Prime Minister. And since he left, we haven't heard who his replacement is, right? And when he left, Jamaica was in poor shape, and then they made him now police commissioner, and Jamaica is in worse shape. And then on top of that, guess what they did? They saw it fit to make this guy the highest paid police commissioner in the history of the JCF. Think about the message you're sending. And at the same time, the constable is making, I forgot what, 70,000 Jamaican dollars a month, something like that. This guy's making millions a year, and then he has no vision, no plan. People have been asking for a crime plan. They don't need a crime plan.
Because they don't have a crime plan. So Rattigan, we don't have enough time. I see Calvin is on, who is your brother, and our good friend Ambassador Curtis Ward has just joined us. I wanted to have Ambassador on before you come on to speak about the whole reparation and, you know, the visit of the Royal Excellencies. And, you know, some groups in Jamaica calling for an apology from the Queen of England. And my take on it, that Jamaicans should call on the government to apologize to us for the atrocity of Carroll Garden, the atrocity of Tivoli Garden, the atrocity of the street people in the 1990s that the PNP, led by PJ Patterson, dumped some street people in the mud lake in St. Elizabeth, and another thing comes out of it. Ambassador, welcome to the program, sir. We don't have enough time. Can you just give me about 5 minutes of what do you think about the royal visit, and what do you think about we calling for reparations, sir?
Well, I think the case for good morning or good afternoon to your listeners. I think the case for reparation has been made, but I see lots of different views as to exactly what is meant by reparations. And one of the latest things I saw was a statement from KD Knight. Actually, I think it was reported this morning in the papers that he is calling for the crown, the Queen, to pay for tertiary education for all students.
Hold on for me, Ambassador. I have in the background like somebody else have their phone on. No. I'm having a big feedback here. Hold a minute. We apologize about that. Ambassador, welcome back, sir. Continue your point.
Yeah, I was saying that there are many different ideas as to how the reparation should be paid for, what it should mean, and so on and so forth. The Rastafarian community has one version. The intellectual community has several versions. And who will be the beneficiary of reparation? I'm not sure who the intended beneficiaries should be, but I do believe that there is a case for reparations. And how it is done, how it is, who benefits from it, I think the entire society should, in one way or the other. And which may be the best way to do this, I really don't know.
Okay. Sir Calvin, you have something to say, sir? Unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you. Not a big contribution, other to say that ultimately any reparation that is going to be paid by your taxpayers. So if your taxpayers are okay with it, then you're free to pursue reparations, or the European taxpayers. But the money's got to come from somewhere.
Sir Rattigan, unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but I think I'm having a feedback. I don't know if it's coming from your phone or what, but I'm having a big feedback here.
Hold on.
We're speaking to former Jamaican ambassador to the United Nations Security Council, Ambassador Curtis Ward, former FBI agent. I'm not hearing you now at all. You're gone. Former FBI agent, Mr. Rattigan. You can call me back, Sir David. Sir Rattigan, rather. We're speaking about reparation, and, we're speaking about the crime situation in Jamaica where a police officer was... Hold on for me, please. Yes, Sir Rattigan. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. What is your take? We're going to drift. We haven't finished the whole thing about the crime. And I think what we need to do is one Sunday afternoon, and I've been saying this, I've got in contact with neither you nor Ambassador. One Sunday afternoon, we have a special edition of Make We Talk. I know, Sundays are meant for family. But we need to talk about this and also the reparation, because a lot of Jamaicans don't understand the meaning of reparation at all, So, we need to talk about this. But the little time that we have here now, what is your views on the whole operation, Sir Rattigan?
Well, that's a difficult subject to tackle, and I'll tell you why. Because there is a group here in the U.S. Just this week, I was talking to a Jamaican friend of mine about reparations, and he shared the view that no reparation should be paid to anyone. And I asked him why. And he said, because the people that you're asking to make reparations, they didn't live back then when our forefathers lived. And so we shouldn't be holding them accountable for behavior that occurred centuries ago. And I said, but the reason why they are in a position where they are right now is because of what took place back then. They became privileged off of free labor, right? Of a forced labor. And this is weird. It's a Jamaican guy, and he said, no. I don't think we should pay them. You should work and live by the sweat of your brow. Don't talk about what happened centuries ago and so on and so forth. So that's interesting. A group here in America, what they're saying is that, and it's a group of African Americans. They're saying that only African Americans who can prove their ancestry in slavery in America should be able to benefit from reparations, and they're getting backlash. Go ahead.
Because I saw wherein a gentleman who is the founder of a group in America is saying that the American government should pay for should pay reparation rather of the tune of 14 trillion United States dollars. I wish we had enough time there is a clip that I wanted to play, but I can't play the clip again, that was done by former Jamaican ambassador Luma Samba, and also why Britain is being asked to pay slave reparation to Jamaica. It was done by Sky News, and they were given a whole details about it. But Ambassador, what would you say to the Jamaican people, or to the powers may be, about the whole idea of we becoming a republic? Because a lot of Jamaicans understand the meaning of republic at all, you know. And if when it comes on to the referendum or the constitutional reform, do you think that the politicians should be going around talking about the whole reform of a constitution? Or should we have Ambassador Curtis Ward, Hillary Beckles, a Vereen Shepherd to go around and speak to the people, not the politicians?
No, I think it's important that the politicians do it, because you don't want any division among the people of Jamaica when it comes to having a referendum to make changes in the Constitution. This is not a minor undertaking. In terms of becoming a republic, it is long overdue. We are 60 years into independence, and we still do an oath to the Queen. We're not independent of Britain if we have to do that. P.J. Patterson tried to change the oath for members of parliament and for the prime minister. As a matter of fact, he did. And didn't entirely rule out the Queen, but pledge allegiance to the Jamaica Constitution. But then when you look at it, the Constitution is what they call an order in council, meaning it's a gift given by British authority to Jamaica. But that gift actually, technically, could be withdrawn. It's not going to be withdrawn because it would make no sense to Britain. But the fact of the matter is, in order to shed the yoke of colonialism, we have to get rid of the Queen, and we have to get rid of the Privy Council in London as a court of last resort for Jamaica. To me, it's a disgrace that after 60 years of independence, poor people who cannot afford to go to the Privy Council are denied appeal at the highest level. The Caribbean Court of Justice was established several years ago. They have been recognized by international jurists for the high standards of jurisprudence, and only 4 CARICOM member states currently use the Caribbean Court of Justice as a court of last resort on criminal matters and on civil matters. The only thing that everyone are bound to do is to use it as a court of original jurisdiction on CARICOM relation matters. This is untenable. It should end. And while we are at it, we should throw away these ridiculous wigs that the judges and the attorneys wear in court. I think it is. You don't want me to go off on this, do you?
I saw where former Minister of Finance, Attorney at Law, QC, Hugh Small, burned his own and his father's own a couple of days ago, a month ago.
I hadn't seen that, but they should have done this 60 years ago.
Yes.
When we got independence, that's when it should have been done. But it's better late than never. But to me, it is one of the most ridiculous vestiges of colonialism. And it has been maintained in our judicial system. Our judicial system has taken an inferior position to the Privy Council in London. Members of the Privy Council, you poll them now, and I would not be surprised if not one of them have ever been to Jamaica.
Wow.
You know,
Go ahead, Sir Rattigan.
let me just throw something here. It's interesting that I read the Jamaican Constitution for the first time a few years ago, and it calls for the head of state, the Queen of England, the head of state of Jamaica. And I started saying to myself, but wait a minute, we got independence back in 1962. So why is it that the head of state is not the prime minister or somebody in Jamaica?
She is.
The second thing is, what are we going to do about that position called the Governor General? Do we get rid of that as well?
Hold a minute. Before Ambassador answer the question, I know veteran journalist Dudley Thompson from Roots FM asking this question, and the Ambassador want to answer it before we go off air. Ambassador, do you think that we should have a ceremonial president, or do you think that we should have an elected president? Because if we're going republic, you have ceremonial president like Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, and you have president that's been elected like America. Because the question that I'm asking also, when we're going to change our constitution, should we have a constitution where the senators are the one who vet Mr. Rattigan to become commissioner of police? He should not be appointed by a politician? Ambassador?
You've asked too many questions for me to answer in the short time.
Well, answer the one with the president then for me.
Yeah, as far as the president is concerned, my preference is that the president be an executive president and the parliament be a separate entity from the executive arm of the government. If, as long as we maintain the current structure, where the executive is a part of the parliament, and the head of the executive, the prime minister, controls the majority in parliament, we're talking about, as far as I'm concerned, not a true democracy. The other part is, because anything the prime minister wants with his majority in parliament, he gets it. He also has a majority in the Senate. However, if it requires a 2/3 majority, he has to have an agreement with the opposition, because the Senate is structured to prevent a 2/3 majority without agreement between both parties. As far as the Senate is concerned, I also believe they should be elected. How you break up their constituents, that it should be different from the way the constitution, and I'm not trying to copy the American system. You know, we have 21 senators. We have 14 parishes, maybe soon to have 15. There should be a Senate representing each parish. If you want to go further, you make it 2 per parish or something of that nature. But they should be elected. The president should be elected on a national scale. So the president represents the majority of the people of Jamaica and not the majority party.
And do you think?
However, real quick. This was a model which the PNP had proposed in the 90s. And the JLP rejected it. They wanted to keep a ceremonial president. But I must, in order to move the process forward, in terms of getting rid of the Queen, I don't want to use that kind of language, but in order to replace the Queen with a Jamaican head of state under a Jamaican constitution, the PNP agreed to the compromise with the JLP in order to keep the ceremonial president. But that is not the wish of the PNP party. I know this because their manifesto many, many years ago And the negotiations which took place was to have an executive president.
But hold on, Ambassador. Opposition spokesperson on transport, Michael Phillips, said, I think is either in Parliament he said it, or he was at a function and he said it, that they preferred a ceremonial president.
Unless there's a change in what they preferred, I think that would be very wrong, because what they have said is, in the past, is that they want an executive president. And it was a compromise to go along, because you have to have a 2/3 vote plus in the House and Senate, plus a referendum. And in order to go to the people on a referendum without any political division as to the structure, this is one of the compromises the PNP came with. Maybe you misheard him. Maybe he's saying that the PNP has agreed to, but not that was the PNP's preference. Agreed to is different from preference. But based on the negotiations, then they agreed.
Was he speaking for? Was that his personal preference? Was he speaking for himself, or was he speaking on behalf of the government? Considering that he's Minister of Transportation.
No, he's opposition spokesperson in transportation. I think he was speaking for himself. Before I go to you.
And it is very easy for these fellows, these women and gentlemen, not to have a grasp of the policy as they should. But it is quite possible he may be talking about the position taken now in order to move the program forward.
And do you think that a member from the diaspora should be elected in Parliament? Because there is nobody in the diaspora. Go ahead, sir.
Let me put it this way. That is something that is also long overdue for the diaspora to have some kind of representation in the Senate. I'm not clear as to how this should be done or how the selection process should take place. There are different ways. The person can be a member of the diaspora who has the capacity to travel to Jamaica for sittings of the Senate. Or the person can be selected through an elaborate process within the diaspora of somebody living in Jamaica to represent the diaspora in the Senate. So there are different ways we have to look at it. One of the things that we are now pushing for, which we have been doing for a lot of years, but we have been told time and again about logistics and who can afford to fly down to Jamaica for board meetings. We are now saying COVID has given us a huge opportunity, because during COVID, most of these, if not all of these statutory boards have been meeting via Zoom. And that procedure should continue. Boards can continue to meet via Zoom, or if those who are locally based want to go into a boardroom with a Zoom connection for members of the diaspora to participate, then so be it. But there's no excuse now in terms of logistics with the technology that we have for members of the diaspora to serve on boards and commissions in Jamaica. There are a lot of statutory boards where expertise in the diaspora can bring to the table lots of experience and expertise to make those boards more accountable and more functional and effective in what they do. Your last question.
We're talking about
hold on for me, gentlemen. Don't move. I'm going to say goodbye to Roots FM. We continue this conversation for the next 10 minutes. You can give me more, about 10 minutes more, Ambassador?
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yes, thank you very much. We're going to say goodbye to Roots FM. Thank you very much for listening to us on Roots 96.1 FM. But the discussion continue on Make We Talk, Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel. Thank you all much for listening on Roots 96.1 FM. Take it away, Miss Isis. Ambassador?
There will be an opportunity.
Yes.
That one day this nation will rise.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the PNP party, led by its president, leader of opposition, will be leading a high-level delegation to tour the US, Canada, and the UK this year to engage with the diaspora and to celebrate Jamaica's 60th anniversary with the diaspora. So the opportunity will arise in public sessions and in private sessions, I'm sure, for diaspora to raise their concerns and put their support behind that initiative. Because during the budget debate, the leader of opposition raised it again, not for the first time, but raised it that this is a commitment by the opposition party to have the diaspora represented in the Senate. But he has also said before that, in terms of boards and commissions, that can be done with mere adjustments in the law. I did an interview in 2017 of former Prime Minister P.J. Patterson for Carib Nation Television, where I also raised the subject with him.
I was listening to it yesterday.
About boards and commissions. And he has no problem with that. At the point, we didn't yet have the type of broad use of Zoom technology and so on. And he said, for starters, those agencies like Tourist Board, JAMPRO and so on, who have overseas agencies and operate overseas, it could begin with them in terms of representation on their boards. Now that we have the Zoom technology being used proficiently by everybody, then this can be applied across the board for all boards in Jamaica.
And let me just
go ahead, sir.
Add something to that. We've been talking about how to go about diaspora representation, and this talk has been going on for years. The question I have is whether or not there's an appetite for it. And the answer is a simple no. And I'll tell you why. In 2016, this issue was raised at a town hall meeting in Queens, New York, where the Prime Minister and several members of his party were in attendance. It was during the UN week. And this same question was raised. And in order to appease those folks at that packed hall, they all said, oh yes, this is something that it's about time that we look into this, and yes, we're going to explore the possibility and we're going to have representation from the diaspora. Just a few years later, they announced that the issue is dead. And the issue is dead. They have no appetite for it, but because part of that is a dilution of power. And they want power to be centralized exactly where it is in Jamaica and within the parties. They don't want it to extend overseas. And to that extent, they started talking about, well, you know, they've created a division between Jamaicans living in Jamaica and Jamaicans living abroad. And when I talk to people on the ground, they said, well, we're not the same. You know, we're here and you're there. You're not really Jamaican. You know, you're born here, but you have adopted a foreign mentality and you don't know what it's like to live in Jamaica. So therefore, you can't really represent us. And that, I think, is fomented by the fact by the politicians themselves. They don't want to see their power diluted. So there is no interest in having Jamaicans living abroad representing. And they're going to say, who are you going to represent? You're representing Jamaicans in Jamaica, or you're representing Jamaicans living abroad? Because if you're representing Jamaicans living abroad, then that's not what the Jamaican government is about. It's about serving the people of Jamaica living in Jamaica. It's not about serving the people. And to the extent that we serve Jamaicans living abroad, that's done through the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's your representation. And there was also a talk about creating a new ministry for the diaspora. And it's all talk, talk, talk. I guarantee you, I will bet you a year's salary that, and I hope to God that we live long enough to see it for this time period to pass. But I guarantee you, 5-10 years from now, we'll still be talking about this diaspora thing. It's going nowhere, because as far as I'm concerned, politicians want to remain politicians. And they realize that the more people you get voting, the greater the chance that they'll be voted out. And the greater the chance that people will become educated about the political process. They want to keep, as you said, the poor and oppressed people. They want to keep them as dunces.
Yes.
You know, look at the educational system in Jamaica. I mean, during my time, we took pride. You know, we took pride, and not only we took pride, but people overseas, foreign countries, took pride in the Jamaican system. No, they said that, I forgot the percentage of how many people leaving high school can't read and write. And at the same time, you find that the minister or the former minister, the money, as I said, the money has been stolen. So money that should go into education is going into ministers' pockets and their girlfriends' pockets and buying homes overseas, homes in Jamaica. It's been the whole system needs to be revamped.
Ambassador?
I'm getting off of my soapbox now.
I totally agree with the viewpoints that Will just expounded on. And that is why I don't think we should push the idea of diaspora voting. If we take it from that perspective, it's never going to happen, as Will indicated, because then local politicians would not have any control over diaspora votes. And they don't want to lose that power, that control that they have over approximately half of the country, each party on either side. And voting would create lots of different issues. For instance, we know that in America, American citizens all over the world can vote in American presidential elections. The thing is, however, Americans anywhere in the world are required to pay federal taxes to the US government. You ask Jamaicans in the diaspora, are you willing to pay taxes to the Jamaican government? I don't think you'll be able to get enough yes to count them off on my hand. So that is one major distinction that I always raise in this conversation. What I am talking about is not the same thing as each member of the diaspora being entitled to a vote. You're going to get a lot of pushback from the general population on that, even though we could make the case, and a very strong one, if we really want to push the idea. But on boards, statutory boards, in Jamaica, you have a small cadre of people who serve on most of the boards. You'll have one individual serving on 5-6 different boards. And that individual doesn't have 5-6 different types of expertise. You know, like I'm saying, what is the phrase we use, but master of none? You know, if you engage with the diaspora, you can pick up expertise across all spectrum of governance in Jamaica. As far as the right, and I say right, it's not a privilege for diaspora to be involved in the governance of Jamaica. Diaspora remittances is over $2.4 billion US dollars, B with a billion, with a B, every year. It represents over 16% of Jamaica's GDP. And as one study in 2017 showed, that diaspora remittances, when spread across the economy, contributes to about between 30 and 35% of Jamaica's economy. The people in Jamaica who like to import everything, including food, they get US dollars, which end up in the Bank of Jamaica, sold back to the merchants to pay for imports. So we do have a very strong case. And by the way, the battery on my iPad is about to die.
Let me just say, what we have is we have a strong case, but we don't have a verdict. Right? We have a strong case, we can put it on, but we don't have a verdict, because going back to the statutory boards, once you start talking about, forget about the voting now, right? We're talking about statutory boards. There is the elephant in the room that people refer to, but nobody wants to really explore it. And I'm talking about people in Jamaica, and that's corruption. Once the statutory boards, they exist for a purpose, and the government of the day, they use these boards as a feeding trough. They use these boards to reward the faithful. Right?
Like how they're using the JUTC to help their friends.
Right. And so the idea that you're going to bring someone from, or you're going to bring someone from overseas, or have someone in Jamaica representing interest from overseas to sit on those boards, again, we can make plausible arguments that should take place, but I guarantee you 10 years from now, we'll be discussing this subject the way we are right now, because it will be the same. The way we should go about it is we need to educate the people in Jamaica, and that's not what we're doing. We're appealing to the government, we're appealing to the officials, and we're appealing to the wrong people, because they have to protect their self-interest. They have no reason to do what we're asking them to do, to water down their political power and their influence. There is no reason for them to do that. We have to find a way to inform and educate the masses so that they can then rise up. Because Jamaicans rising up from overseas means nothing to these people. Because at the end of the day, they said, you guys don't vote. You guys don't vote, so we don't. Send us your remittances and shut up.
And
send us your remittances.
And I think that's what politicians has been doing for years. Send us the remittances and that's it. They don't give a flying kahuna of nothing. Because you don't, your voice doesn't mean anything in Jamaica, only the money. But I don't know if I lose
one second. You know what I would like? I would like with this up the PNP party traveling and visiting different countries, diaspora. I would like, before they come, I would like them to set out a plan as to how they plan to involve diaspora members in any government that they should lead, and not just theoretical. I want them to tell me that, okay, when we win, there will be a seat created, or there'll be a ministry created, there'll be a portfolio created, whether it's to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or wherever, and we're going to have people from the diaspora populating those positions. I want to see that. I don't want the same talk saying, oh yeah, we should involve you guys because we're Jamaicans and we're all for the good of Jamaica and we're going to do something about. No, tell me what you're going to do, and then I'm going to hold you to it. Tell me the position, because far too often we hear them come and they use flowery language.
Hold on for me, Mr. Rattigan. Ambassador, you're saying something?
I'm down to 3%.
Yes. Okay, we're going to wrap up. Your final word, Ambassador.
Let me just say that Will is making a lot of sense in terms of what needs to be done, and certainly we need that ministry. We've been calling for that Ministry of Diaspora Affairs for a long time. And as a matter of fact, when this government took office, we had to push hard for them to have that Minister of State which had been in place since 2004. When under the Patterson government, we first had the Minister of State for Diaspora Affairs. We said we want a full ministry. And there's no reason why we shouldn't have a full ministry. There are about a dozen ministerial portfolios at Jamaica House. So there's no excuse for having a minister for diaspora affairs with a full ministry. I just gave you some preliminary data about the diaspora contribution in terms of remittances, but there are a whole lot of other stuff that we do in social education, health programs. But I wish I could stay longer with you. Maybe we can continue this discussion.
Yes, I was thinking, Ambassador, that maybe next week Sunday we could continue next week Sunday evening.
That's a little too early for me.
Well, you tell me, and we can, organize.
We'll communicate. Gentlemen, sorry to have to leave, but I'm going to get cut off. I'm down to 2.
Yes, okay. Thank you very much, former Jamaican Ambassador Curtis Ward, for coming on. Sir Rattigan, thank you so much for coming on also. You want to say your final word before you go, sir?
I beg your pardon?
You want to say your final word before you go?
Oh, yeah. My final word is, it doesn't matter whether it's this government or that government or the government here, there, whatever. Don't tell me. Show me.
Yes.
Show me on paper where you're going to put people. Show me the changes you're going to make. Don't tell me. For far too often, we've listened to politicians, and we've listened to them well. And some of us have benefited handsomely from the handouts that they've given. But at the same time, the masses are, the masses of people, they're struggling. They, as you said, they're pauperized, they're poor, and they don't understand what's going on. And they see, every time the politician comes around, they see salvation. But it's destruction. It's nothing but destruction. So my point is, don't tell me. I'm tired of listening. Show me on paper the plan that you have, and then do it.
Thank you so much. Calvin, you want to say anything or what? You just want to be quiet and just listen then? Okay, thank you so much, former Jamaican Ambassador Curtis Ward to the United Nations Security Council, former FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan. Thank you all very much. I'll keep in contact with you, and I hope we can have this discussion one Sunday evening. God bless you.
And listen, if you need Brother Curtis to come on, just tell me when. He doesn't live too far from me. I'll go over his house and I'll force him. So,
no problem. No problem.
I speak to his higher authority. So just let me know.
Ambassador, thank you so much, sir, for coming on. And I'll keep in contact with you, sir.
It's a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. On behalf of myself here, I am Jeffrey Tavares, on the host of Make We Talk. You can like, share, and subscribe to Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel or Make We Talk. One of the two, just Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares, that I'm on YouTube. And you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you all very much, gentlemen, for coming on. Until you hear our voice again, God bless.
God bless.